Welcome to the Property Podcast, where great minds in real estate get together. Today on the Property Podcast, I'm delighted to be joined by Emilio Giliberto, founder and managing partner, and Jesus Caceres, capital advisor and managing partner of Alliance Capital Advisors. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Let's just dive in. So I'd love to hear more about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture of Alliance Capital Advisor.
I'll start with my role with Alliance Capital Advisors. As a managing partner, my role is heavily focused on the business development side of the business, meaning I spend a lot of time reaching out to contacts, and those contacts can be anyone from, professionals such as CPAs, CFOs, commercial real estate brokers, to also commercial lenders and business bankers that have clients that they may not be able to help. So, and then the other part of my time is spent on the marketing side, really promoting our brand, promoting our services, and trying to get in front of as many people as we can from a marketing standpoint. As I mentioned, the business development side as well. The other part of my role is having initial conversations with prospects. So I am at the initial filter into Alliance Capital from a prospect standpoint, in assuring that if I got a client referred to me or if I make contact directly with the prospect, that they're the right fit for Alliance Capital and our Capital Line program as well. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. That's what my background is prior to starting this company and being in the banking industry. I'll let Emilio talk a little bit about his role.
Yeah, so thank you again for inviting us. And my role within the group is to really build out the lender network and make sure that we have funders that can meet all kinds of needs. So what we're attempting to do on that side of the house is build both traditional, and what I mean by traditional are banks, versus non-traditional lenders, which are private lenders. And at some point, hopefully we can get into private equity as well. That's really what my focus is right now. Our goal in putting this all together and what we've accomplished to this point is we've built a pretty robust network of funders that can meet a variety of needs. The other part of my function is to make sure when a transaction comes in, Jesus and I will sit, coordinate, look at how the company's balance sheet is built, how their income statement is built, and then really determine, well, this is the best way to go. This is where the cash flows will lead us. This is the type of lending that we think minimizes the risk and really fills the need that the company has at this point in time in their life cycle.
So when you think about your ideal prospect, what is the first thing that comes to mind?
So I would say that the first thing that comes to mind is a privately held company. And we define it in a multitude of ways, right? You can say 10 million and up in revenues, somebody who has a debt need of $1 million or more, somebody who's struggling because they feel like their current debt load is starting to overwhelm them. We come in and we say, this is how we can help you reduce that strain. We can help you provide that capital. And a lot of these business owners are wearing multiple hats. They got to be the CFO. They've got to be the marketing person. They've got to be the CEO. They're making decisions. And so capital decisions sneak up on them. All of a sudden you need debt and you're going to go, the first place you're going to go is I'm going to go to the bank. And then all of a sudden the bank is saying, well, you're great on the deposit side, but you're not so great on this side. So that's where we fill a need. And we really think the niche is that closely held company where the owners are wearing multiple hats. They know their business inside and out, but they're being forced to do things that are their box. And that's where we think we really come in and fill a void.
What are your thoughts on the current root cause of painful investor reporting?
What makes the market move from just a standard reporting like financial statements and minor items to the next level? It's typically one of two things. The economy starts to take a drive down. So the lenders all of a sudden, they want to know how their portfolios are doing. They want to try to anticipate loans going bad. They need to assign capital to loans. And if they're too slow in doing it, And all of a sudden, they've got a portfolio problem. They didn't assign enough capital to the loans. So now they start requesting financial statements. They start saying to people, I need your financial statements. And they said, you never asked for these on a quarterly basis. You always wanted them on an annual basis or whenever well, yeah, but given where things are going, we're trying to get a handle on things and the need for more information. Okay. And it's frustrating to a client because now the client has to spend time producing numbers that they didn't have to in the past. They got to produce quarterly. They got to, so if that becomes an administrative burden. The other thing we see is some event, you have an economic disaster, and all of a sudden the government gets involved. And the government says, well, we can't ever have this happen again. So they start laying regulatory controls on top of the lenders. And that requires lenders to give information to the government and the government regulators. And then the government regulate. So as a result, what does that do? That pushes it down to the client. You can point to the financial crisis of 2008. That was one of the ones where all of a sudden the market went upside down and government regulations came in. It's some shock to the system, some shock to the economy that generally drives an informational need and more reporting need. Because even if it's in the private industry, if some fraud occurs, somebody's going to lose money and regulators are going to step in and be required to report more.
If you ask every business owner out there when they started their business, their only reference to debt was their car loan and was their mortgage. And that was a one-time experience of an application, of tax returns. Once it was done, it was done. I had to no longer think about it. Well, in the commercial world, it's not so simple. As Emilio mentioned, their reporting requirements. You have to provide this depending on how your loan was structured every 6 months, sometimes even every quarter. And so it becomes something of a shock that as a business owner, I'm moving fast because I have to provide a livelihood to all my employees. And then on top of that, I got to remember that I got to submit my financial statements every quarter, every 6 months. It takes time. And they don't have that infrastructure set up.
And this is where I would say Capeline comes handy, correct?
I'll start by saying Capeline is a blend of today's technology. We take advantage of AI, we take advantage of algorithms, but at the end of the day, that's all good and well, but it's based on assumptions. And those assumptions have to come from folks with experience. And that's where Jesus and I come in. You've got over 50 years of experience between the two of us, as I mentioned earlier. Personally, I've lived through 3 up and down cycles. I want to say that Jesus may have been a little younger than I was the first one, but
maybe 1, 2.
Yeah, but we've seen what happens. So that's the critical thing for us in building Capeline. It's both today's technology, today's market in terms of the different types of lenders. What you'll see today in the market is billions of dollars in private lending because banks have tightened. At some point, the market will shift back. The banks will loosen up their credit. Wonderful. Capeline is built to place you in either or, depending on how the market's going. We have a huge passel of private lenders, and we have a huge passel of banks that we can deal with, all the way down to the local and regional banks, and not just here in Texas, but in other states where we're dealing with smaller community banks that might be interested in certain deals, or larger regional banks that might be interested in certain transactions.
Line simply addresses the frustrations that borrowers have dealt with when they have pursued debt through their traditional sources, meaning that Capeline addresses the need for information. Capeline addresses the need for options. Capeline addresses the need for assessing capital risk. These are all things that if you ask most business owners who have ever taken out commercial debt, they will answer all those questions and they will say, when I got this loan, did I really know what all my options were? No. Did someone really address the capital risk? Absolutely not, because that lender approved you and they're going to do everything for you to sign on the dotted line. Did I have a clear understanding of how this loan was going to be structured? No. And so all of those concerns that most business owners walked away from an experience like this going, I really felt like there was stuff missing. That's what Capiline addresses. And that gives business owners a much broader view of what their options are. And it helps them make a much better educated decision for their business. I think that's the essence of Capiline, where it be banks, where it be credit unions or whomever that business owners traditionally seek for capital, they walk away going, do I know that I got the best deal? I don't know. Was it structured the best way? Why didn't I get the money that I asked for? I asked for $1 million and they only gave me $500,000. Why? And so that's what Capiline addresses.
That is very informative. Let's wrap up. So, where do you see your company going 6 months from now and 12 months from now?
Well, I'm hoping to retire and be on a boat somewhere, a very big yacht. I can call it Capiline. No,
This business will continue to thrive. The need for the service that we provide, we believe strongly that the need is there. It's really about connecting who we are, what we know, what we do. It's connecting it with the right owner that appreciates these things. The one thing that Emilio and I agreed to when we were thinking about forming this company is the realization that we can't be all things to all people and that we can't help everyone. And some of that is just a capacity issue. But I think the other thing is that we have to be very careful in making sure that what we know and how we do it, that we're able to make a significant impact out there in the business community.
Along with that, our goal is to continue growing our client base. I think a critical component to that is what Jesus works on quite a bit is our referral partner network. And a reason why I say that, it's not so much just what they give to us. It's the fact that we're adding professionals into this strategic partnership that we're trying to build through the referral partner network. We have been able, for one client, to provide them with a fractional CFO that he desperately needed. So these strategic partnerships become very important to us because it's a two-way street. We are referring people that we trust, we've used ourselves. Okay. That's one component that I think will be incredibly important to us. I think the other is continuing to expand who our funders are. And I hope at some point that Jesus and I will migrate into equity. We'd love to find family offices that are interested in certain projects that we're working on or building a little network of family offices. We'd also at some point like to become direct lenders. So we'd like to have a portfolio that we can build and we can lend to. So I'd like to see our advisory business grow a little bit more too.
And that's pretty impressive. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. And if you wanted to talk to our audience, where can they reach you at?
Yeah, so they can reach us by calling us directly at area code 832-452-5797. That's my direct number. They can also email us at info@alliancecapitaladvisors.net. They can visit our website at alliancecapitaladvisors.net. There is a page on our website where they can submit a short form with a few financials so that we can do a no-cost capital assessment. That'll give them a good initial insight in terms of where the business stands from a capital standpoint. They can find us in LinkedIn, Alliance Capital Advisors, LinkedIn page. We're on Facebook, Instagram, alignable, just about everywhere that they can, that they'll let us post something. We're there. No OnlyFans, none of that crazy stuff.
I was trying to stay away from that.
But that's where they can find us. We are a local business here in Houston, Texas. If anybody is here in the local market, we are happy to schedule a coffee and just chat. I mean, we love talking to business owners. Everyone is different. Every story is always very, very interesting. So any way that they can find us, reach out to us, and we're happy to engage.
All right, great. Thank you so much.